The sun was setting over the peaceful town of Nsaka, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold. The evening breeze carried the smell of roasted corn, fresh vegetables, and red earth. Women were returning from the market, children played football on dusty roads, and elders sat outside discussing the day's events. Among the many young women in the community, one stood out, not because she was rich or flashy, but because of her character. Her name was Chioma Nwankwo. Chioma was 25 years old. She was beautiful in a natural way that did not require expensive makeup or designer clothes. She was known throughout the community for her humility, respect, and kindness. Every morning, she woke up before sunrise to help her widowed mother, Mama Grace, with household chores before heading to her small fashion shop. Life had not been easy for Chioma. After her father's death several years earlier, she and her mother had struggled to survive. While many young women chased wealthy men and glamorous lifestyles in the city, Chioma chose to work hard and maintain her dignity. People respected her for that. But respect did not pay bills. There were days when she barely made enough money to feed herself and her mother. Yet she never complained. She simply trusted God and continued working. One Saturday afternoon, Chioma was arranging fabrics in her shop when she heard the sound of an expensive vehicle stopping outside. She barely looked up. Cars occasionally passed through the area. Most of them belonged to politicians visiting the community. But then she heard a familiar voice. "Excuse me." The voice instantly froze her. Slowly, she looked up. Standing at the entrance was a tall, handsome man wearing a white shirt and dark trousers. For a few seconds, she simply stared. Then her eyes widened. "Obinna." The man smiled. The same smile she remembered from years ago. "Chioma." Her heart skipped a beat. It had been nearly 7 years. 7 years since she had last seen Obinna Okeke. Back then, they had been close friends. Very close friends. They attended the same secondary school and spent countless afternoons talking about their dreams. Obinna had always been ambitious. He often spoke about moving to Lagos, building a successful business, and changing his family's future. Most people laughed at his dreams. Chioma never did. She believed in him when nobody else seemed to. Then one day he left for Lagos. At first, they stayed in contact. But as life became busy, communication slowly faded. Eventually, they stopped speaking entirely. And now, after all those years, he was standing right in front of her. "You disappeared," Chioma said, folding her arms. Obinna laughed. "I could say the same thing." "Me?" "Yes, you. You changed your number. You never called." "You never called either." They both laughed. For a moment, it felt as if no time had passed at all. Obinna looked around the shop. "You own this place?" Chioma nodded proudly. "It's not much. It's beautiful." She smiled. The compliment felt genuine. Unlike many people who pretended to admire her work while secretly looking down on her. They talked for nearly an hour. About old memories. About mutual friends. About life. About everything they had missed. When Obinna finally left, he couldn't stop smiling. Neither could Chioma. That evening, as he drove back to Enugu, he realized something. The feelings he once had for Chioma had never truly disappeared. They had simply been waiting. Waiting for the right moment. And perhaps that moment had finally arrived. Over the next few weeks, Obinna visited often. At first, he claimed he was simply passing through. Then he claimed he needed clothes sewn. Then he claimed he needed advice about fabrics. Eventually, Chioma stopped pretending to believe his excuses. "You know there are tailors in Lagos, right?" she teased one day. Obinna laughed. "None as beautiful as this one." Chioma rolled her eyes. But deep down, she enjoyed every moment. Their connection grew stronger. Soon they were spending nearly every evening together. Sometimes they sat beneath a large mango tree near the village square. Sometimes they walked along quiet roads discussing life. Sometimes they attended church programs together. People began talking. Some villagers were happy. Others were curious. After all, Obinna was no longer the poor young man who had left years ago. He was now a successful businessman. He owned multiple properties. He drove expensive cars. People respected him. Some even feared him. Many wondered why a man like him was spending so much time with an ordinary village girl. But Obinna didn't care. The more time he spent with Chioma, the more certain he became. She was different. She was genuine. She was everything you wanted in a wife. One evening, they sat near a quiet stream watching the sunset. The water reflected the golden sky. Birds flew overhead. The moment felt perfect. Obinna turned toward her. Chioma. She looked at him. His expression was serious. Immediately, her heartbeat quickened. I have something to tell you. What is it? Obinna took a deep breath. For years, I tried to forget you. Chioma's eyes widened. But I couldn't. Her heart began racing. When I was in Lagos, I met many women. He paused. Yet none of them made me feel the way you do. Chioma felt tears forming. Obinna. I love you. The words hung in the air. Simple. Powerful. Life-changing. I have loved you for a very long time. For a moment, Chioma couldn't speak. She had imagined this moment countless times. Yet now that it was happening, she felt overwhelmed. I love you too, she whispered. Obinna smiled. The biggest smile she had ever seen. That evening marked the beginning of their relationship. And for a while, everything seemed perfect. Unfortunately, perfection attracts enemies. Several weeks later, Obinna decided it was time. He wanted his family to meet Chioma. His mother, Mama Patricia Okeke, was known as a kind woman. He was confident she would love Chioma. What worried him was someone else. His older brother's wife. Obinna Okeke. Obinna loved wealth. She loved status. She loved appearing important. To her, success wasn't about character. It was about money. Connections. Luxury. Social class. The moment she heard that Obinna wanted to marry a village girl, she was furious. A village girl, she repeated. Her husband, Uche Okeke, frowned. What's wrong with that? Everything. Uche sighed. Obinna, please don't start. I'm serious. She folded her arms. Your brother is successful. He should marry someone from a wealthy family. Someone educated abroad. Someone with connections. Not some local girl from the village. Uche shook his head. Obinna loves her. Love doesn't increase social status. The statement made Uche uncomfortable. But he knew arguing with his wife was pointless. Once Obinna made up her mind, changing it was nearly impossible. The day Chioma visited the Okeke family house arrived. She wore a simple but elegant dress. Nothing extravagant. Nothing flashy. Just enough to look presentable. Still, she felt nervous. Very nervous. Obinna noticed immediately. Relax. What if they don't like me? My mother will love you. And the others? Obinna hesitated. That hesitation worried her. A lot. When they arrived, Mama Patricia welcomed Chioma warmly. Immediately, Chioma felt relieved. The older woman hugged her and treated her kindly. For a moment, she thought everything would be fine. Then she met Obinna. The smile on Obinna's face never reached her eyes. It was the smile of someone pretending to be polite. Nothing more. Throughout dinner, Amoka carefully observed Chioma. Her clothes. Her speech. Her manners. Everything. Then the questions began. So Chioma, Amoka said. What does your father do? The room grew quiet. Chioma lowered her eyes. My father passed away years ago. A brief silence followed. Sorry, Amoka replied, though her tone lacked sincerity. And before he died, he was a farmer. Amoka nodded slowly. A small smirk appeared. What about your mother? She sells food items. Again, that smirk appeared. Obinna noticed. His jaw tightened. But he remained silent. For now. The dinner continued. Yet Chioma could feel it. The judgment. The disapproval. The hostility. And when she and Obinna finally left that night, Amoka stood by the window watching them. Her expression dark. Cold. Dangerous. No, she whispered. That girl will never become part of this family. As she turned away from the window, an evil plan was already beginning to form in her mind. A plan that would threaten Chioma's happiness. A plan that could destroy Obinna's future. But what Amoka didn't know was this. The secret she had buried years ago was about to resurface. And when it did, everything she had built would come crashing down. The morning after Chioma's visit to the Okeke family house, Amoka Okeke woke up with only one thought on her mind. Chioma must never marry Obinna. While the rest of the family went about their normal activities, Amoka sat alone in her room replaying the previous evening in her head. She remembered the way Obinna looked at Chioma. The way he smiled whenever she spoke. The way Mama Patricia had welcomed her. Most of all, she remembered something she hated. The family was already starting to like Chioma. And that frightened her. Amoka wasn't worried because Chioma had done anything wrong. In fact, that was the problem. Chioma was kind. Respectful. Patient. The type of woman people naturally loved. If she became Obinna's wife, her influence in the family would grow quickly. And Amoka had spent years positioning herself as the most important woman in the Okeke family. She wasn't willing to share that position with anyone. Especially not a village girl. She stood up and walked to the mirror. No, she muttered. I won't allow it. Later that morning, she visited her close friend, Ngozi, who owned a beauty salon in town. The two women often shared gossip and family secrets. As soon as Amoka entered the salon, Ngozi noticed her mood. What happened? Amoka sat heavily in a chair. It's Obinna. What about him? He wants to marry that village girl. Ngozi raised an eyebrow. The tailor. Yes. So. Amoka nearly laughed. You don't understand. If she enters that family, everyone will start worshipping her. Ngozi shrugged. Maybe she's a good person. Amoka frowned. Whose side are you on? I'm just saying. Amoka leaned forward. You didn't see the way Mama Patricia looked at her. She already likes her. And Obinna is completely blind because of love. Ngozi became interested. So what are you planning? A slow smile appeared on Amoka's face. The kind of smile that usually meant trouble. A lesson. Meanwhile, Chioma was happier than she had been in years. Business at her shop was improving. Her relationship with Obinna was growing stronger. And despite the uncomfortable dinner, she remained optimistic. That afternoon, she sat outside her shop with her best friend, Ifenanya. You look happy, Ifenanya said. Chioma smiled. I am. Because of Obinna. Chioma nodded. If you see the way he treats me. Ifenanya, sometimes it feels too good to be true. Her friend laughed. Then enjoy it. Not every love story starts with suffering. Chioma laughed too. But deep inside, she couldn't shake the memory of Amoka's eyes. There had been something cold about them. Something unsettling. Still, she pushed the thought away. She didn't want negativity to ruin her happiness. A few days later, Obinna arrived unexpectedly at her shop. The moment she saw him, she smiled. "What brings you here today?" "I missed you." Chioma laughed. "You saw me yesterday. I still missed you." He handed her a small package. "What is this?" "Open it." Inside was a beautiful gold necklace. Chioma's eyes widened. "Obinna, you like it?" "It's beautiful." He gently held her hand. "You deserve beautiful things." Her eyes became emotional. Nobody had ever treated her with so much care. At that moment, she felt incredibly blessed. Unfortunately, not everyone was celebrating happiness. That same evening, Amoka sat in her living room making phone calls. One after another. She contacted distant relatives, family friends, old acquaintances. Anyone who might help her gather information. She wanted dirt on Chioma. Anything. No matter how small. Hours passed. But nobody had anything negative to say. Instead, every response frustrated her further. Chioma is a good girl. She's respectful. She's hardworking. She's responsible. The compliments irritated Amoka. Finally, she threw her phone onto the sofa. "This is impossible." Uche, her husband, looked up from his newspaper. "What now? Everybody keeps praising her. Maybe because she's actually a good person." Amoka glared at him. "You always defend her. I don't even know her." "Exactly." Uche folded his newspaper. "Amoka, can I ask you something?" She crossed her arms. "What? Why do you hate this girl so much?" For a moment, she had no answer. Because the truth sounded ridiculous. She hated Chioma because Chioma threatened her position. Because people liked her. Because she possessed qualities that money couldn't buy. But Amoka would never admit that. Instead, she replied, "I'm protecting this family." Uche shook his head slowly. "You keep telling yourself that." Then he walked away. His words annoyed her. But deep down, they also made her uncomfortable. A week later, Mama Patricia announced exciting news. The family would officially visit Chioma's family for traditional marriage discussions. The announcement brought smiles to nearly everyone's face. Everyone except Amoka. The moment she heard the news, panic surged through her. Things were moving too quickly. If she didn't act soon, the marriage would become inevitable. That night, she barely slept. She lay awake staring at the ceiling. Thinking. Planning. Scheming. Then suddenly, an idea entered her mind. A dangerous idea. Slowly, she sat up. A smile appeared. This time, she knew exactly what she was going to do. The next morning, Amoka visited a woman named Madame Stella. Madame Stella was known throughout the city for spreading rumors. Some people called her a gossip. Others called her a troublemaker. Either way, she was useful. Amoka entered her office and sat down. "I need your help." Madame Stella smiled knowingly. "What kind of help?" "I need information." "About who?" "Chioma Nwankwo." Madame Stella's eyes narrowed. The moment money exchanged hands, the investigation began. Over the following days, strange rumors started appearing. Some people claimed Chioma had once dated multiple men. Others claimed she was only interested in Obinna's money. A few even suggested she had hidden secrets. Most of the stories were completely false. But rumors have a dangerous power. People often believe lies more easily than truth. Soon whispers began spreading. Some relatives started asking questions. Some family friends became suspicious. Exactly as Amoka had hoped. One afternoon, Mama Patricia received a call from an old family friend. The conversation left her troubled. After hanging up, she sat quietly. Could the rumors be true? She didn't want to believe them. But the constant stories were becoming difficult to ignore. For the first time, doubt entered her mind. And doubt was exactly what Amoka wanted. Meanwhile, Chioma remained unaware of the storm building around her. She continued planning her future with Obinna. She dreamed about their wedding, their home, their children. She had no idea that someone was actively working to destroy everything. Late one evening, Amoka received a phone call. It was Madam Stella. I found something. Amoka immediately sat upright. What? It may not be much. I don't care. Tell me. There was a brief pause. Then Madam Stella spoke. The information wasn't exactly what Amoka had hoped for. But it was enough. Enough to twist. Enough to manipulate. Enough to create problems. Amoka's eyes lit up. A wicked smile spread across her face. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. For the first time since Chioma entered their lives, Amoka felt confident. Very confident. Soon, she believed, Obinna would start questioning Chioma. Soon, the relationship would begin to crack. Soon, everything would fall apart. What she didn't realize was that while she was busy digging into Chioma's past, someone else had quietly begun digging into hers. And unlike the lies being spread about Chioma, the secrets hidden in Amoka's past were very real, very dangerous, and very close to being exposed. The following week began with excitement for Chioma. For months, everything in her life had seemed to be falling into place. Her tailoring business was growing steadily, her relationship with Obinna was stronger than ever, and discussions about their traditional marriage introduction were progressing. She could finally see the future she had always dreamed about. A loving husband. A happy home. A family built on respect and genuine affection. Little did she know that behind her smile, a storm was gathering. And at the center of that storm was Amoka. That Monday morning, Chioma arrived at her shop earlier than usual. She hummed softly as she arranged fabrics and greeted customers. Her assistant, Esther, noticed immediately. Madam Chioma, somebody is glowing today. Chioma laughed. Is it obvious? Very obvious. Let me guess. Obinna. Chioma blushed. Esther clapped her hands. I knew it. The two women laughed. For a brief moment, everything felt perfect. Then Chioma's phone rang. It was Obinna. Immediately, she smiled. Good morning. But something felt wrong. His voice sounded unusually cold. Good morning. The smile slowly faded from her face. Are you okay? Yes. His answer came too quickly. Too flat. Too distant. Chioma frowned. Obinna, what happened? Nothing. Yet she knew him well enough to know he was lying. For the first time in months, the conversation felt awkward. When the call ended, a strange feeling settled in her chest. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Meanwhile, several kilometers away, Amoka sat comfortably in her living room. A cup of tea rested on the table beside her. She looked pleased with herself. Over the weekend, she had worked tirelessly spreading more rumors. Not directly. She was smarter than that. Instead, she planted seeds of doubt. Small suggestions. Tiny questions. Carefully chosen comments. The kind that slowly poison people's minds. Now those seeds were beginning to grow. And the first victim was Obinna. 2 days earlier, Obinna had attended a gathering with some extended family members. At first, everything had seemed normal. Then one elderly aunt approached him. "My son." "Yes, auntie. I heard something concerning." Obinna frowned. "What is it?" The woman lowered her voice. "Are you sure you know this Chioma very well?" Immediately, his expression changed. "What do you mean?" The woman hesitated. "I don't know if it's true." "Then don't say it." "But people are talking." Obinna's jaw tightened. "What exactly are they saying?" The woman looked uncomfortable. "They say she was involved with another man. They say she left him when she found someone richer." Obinna immediately dismissed it. "That's nonsense." The woman nodded. "I hope so." But the damage had already begun. The doubt had entered his mind. Over the next few days, similar comments continued. Different people. Different places. The same rumors. The same accusations. Eventually, even a strong man like Obinna found himself wondering. Could there be some truth behind the stories? He hated himself for thinking it. Yet he couldn't stop. The rumors were everywhere. And because so many people repeated them, they began to feel believable. Exactly as Amoka intended. One evening, Obinna drove to Chioma's shop. He found her closing for the day. The moment she saw him, she smiled. But the smile disappeared when she noticed his expression. He looked troubled. "Obinna, we need to talk." Immediately, fear gripped her heart. The tone of his voice frightened her. They entered his vehicle. For several minutes, neither spoke. Finally, Obinna broke the silence. "Chioma." "Yes. I want you to answer a question honestly." She looked confused. "Okay. Did you ever date a man named Chucks?" Chioma blinked. The question surprised her. "Yes." Obinna's heart sank. The answer came too quickly. Too confidently. "You did." "Of course." She looked puzzled. "It was years ago. Before I met you again." Obinna stared ahead. His silence made her nervous. "Why are you asking?" Another pause. Then he finally said it. "People are saying you abandoned him because he was poor." For several seconds, Chioma simply stared at him. Shock filled her face. Then disbelief. Then hurt. Deep hurt. "People told you that?" Obinna remained silent. "Obinna, you actually believed them?" "I didn't say I believed them." "But you're asking me." The pain in her voice cut through him. Chioma took a deep breath. "Chucks and I dated years ago." "Yes. But we broke up because he cheated on me." Obinna turned toward her. "What?" "He cheated. With multiple women. I ended the relationship." Tears began forming in her eyes. "And instead of asking me first, you listened to gossip." Obinna immediately felt ashamed. But the damage was done. The trust between them had been wounded. That night, Chioma cried. Not because of the rumors. She knew they were false. What hurt her was knowing that Obinna had allowed those rumors to influence him. For the first time since their relationship began, she felt uncertain. If strangers could shake his trust so easily, what would happen when bigger challenges came? The question haunted her. At the Okeke family house, Amoka noticed the growing tension immediately. She couldn't have been happier. Every cold conversation. Every misunderstanding. Every argument. They were all signs that her plan was working. One evening she approached Mama Patricia. "Mama." "Yes." "I hope Obinna is being careful." The older woman frowned. "Careful about what?" Amoka sighed dramatically. I don't want to say too much. Then don't. But the things people are saying about Chioma. Mama Patricia's expression darkened. Again. More rumors. More gossip. More confusion. Even she was beginning to feel exhausted. A few days later, another problem emerged. This one was worse. Far worse. A photograph began circulating among some relatives. The picture showed Chioma standing beside a man. The image itself was innocent. But the story attached to it was not. People claimed the man was a former lover. They claimed she was secretly still involved with him. The rumors spread quickly. Very quickly. By the time the picture reached Obinna, emotions were already running high. He stared at the photograph for several minutes. His heart pounded. His mind raced. Logic told him to speak with Chioma. But fear whispered something different. Fear told him maybe the rumors were true. Fear told him he was being deceived. Fear told him he might lose everything. And fear can be dangerous. That evening, Obinna confronted Chioma. The moment she saw the photograph, she became furious. Are you serious? Just explain it. Explain what? The picture. Chioma could hardly believe what she was hearing. That is my cousin. Obinna froze. What? My cousin. He lives in Abuja. We took that picture at a family event. The room became silent. Suddenly, Obinna felt foolish. Very foolish. Again, the rumors had made him doubt her. Again, he had hurt the woman he loved. Chioma stood up. Her eyes were filled with tears. But this time, they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of disappointment. Do you know what hurts the most? Obinna lowered his head. Chioma. No. Listen. Her voice trembled. I expect strangers to doubt me. I expect enemies to attack me. But I never expected it from you. The words hit him like a hammer. Because they were true. Every accusation. Every rumor. Every misunderstanding. Had slowly damaged the trust between them. And trust, once broken, is difficult to repair. That night, Chioma returned home emotionally exhausted. Mama Grace immediately noticed. My daughter. What happened? For the first time, Chioma broke down completely. She told her mother everything. The rumors. The accusations. The doubts. The confrontations. Mama Grace listened quietly. Then she held her daughter's hand. If a relationship is built by God, no human being can destroy it. Chioma nodded. But deep down, she wasn't sure anymore. Across town, Amoka celebrated quietly. She believed victory was near. Obinna and Chioma were fighting. The family was divided. The wedding discussions had slowed. Everything was happening exactly as she planned. What she didn't know was that someone had just uncovered a shocking piece of information about her own past. A secret she had hidden for years. A secret capable of destroying her marriage. A secret capable of destroying her reputation. And very soon, that secret would begin making its way toward the Okeke family. But for now, darkness continued to grow between Obinna and Chioma. And unless something changed soon, their love story might not survive. The tension between Chioma and Obinna did not disappear after their last argument. Instead, it grew. What had started as rumors whispered behind closed doors was now creating real cracks in their relationship. For the first time since they reunited, their conversations felt forced. Their laughter became less frequent. Their meetings became shorter. And every time they looked at each other, there was an invisible wall standing between them. Neither of them wanted that wall. But neither knew how to tear it down. Meanwhile, somewhere in the shadows, Amoka watched everything unfold with satisfaction. Her plan was working. And she wasn't finished yet. 3 days after the argument about the photograph, Obinna arrived at Chioma's shop. Usually, his arrival would brighten her day. Not this time. When she saw him standing outside, she felt a mixture of love, sadness, and frustration. He entered quietly. "Good afternoon." "Good afternoon." The atmosphere immediately felt uncomfortable. Even Esther sensed it. Without saying a word, she excused herself and left them alone. For several moments, silence filled the room. Finally, Obinna spoke. "I miss us." Chioma looked away. "So do I." The honesty in her voice hurt him. He moved closer. "I'm sorry." "For what exactly?" The question caught him off guard. Chioma folded her arms. "For listening to rumors. For doubting me. For making me defend myself every week." Obinna lowered his eyes. He had no answer. Because she was right. For weeks, she had done nothing wrong. Yet she constantly found herself being questioned. Being judged. Being forced to prove her innocence. And it was exhausting. Very exhausting. A relationship was supposed to be a safe place. Instead, she felt like she was standing in a courtroom. Always defending herself. Always explaining. Always fighting accusations. Eventually, even the strongest person becomes tired. That evening, after Obinna left, Chioma sat alone in her room. She stared at the ceiling. Thinking. Praying. Wondering. She loved Obinna deeply. There was no doubt about that. But love alone could not survive without trust. And trust was becoming harder to find. Tears slowly rolled down her cheeks. Not because she wanted to leave. But because she was beginning to wonder if she needed to. The next week brought another family gathering. Mama Patricia invited everyone for a Sunday lunch. Normally, Chioma would have been excited. Instead, she felt nervous. Something inside her told her the day would not end well. Unfortunately, she was right. The gathering started peacefully. Relatives chatted. Children played. Food was served. For a short while, everything seemed normal. Then Amoka began. As always. Slowly. Carefully. Like someone lighting a fire one match at a time. She waited until everyone was seated. Then she smiled. Chioma. Yes. I heard your shop is doing well. Thank God. Amoka nodded. That's wonderful. Then came the trap. Although running a small village shop and becoming the wife of a successful businessman are very different things. The room immediately grew quiet. Several people exchanged uncomfortable glances. Chioma felt her heart sink. Not again. Mama Patricia frowned. Amoka. But Amoka continued. What? I'm only speaking the truth. She turned toward Chioma. You know Lagos society is different. Different standards. Different expectations. Different class. The word class hung heavily in the air. Everyone understood what she meant. And everyone knew who she was targeting. Chioma. Obinna immediately sat upright. That's enough. Amoka laughed lightly. Why are you angry? I'm only concerned. Concerned. Obinna's voice hardened. Or insulting. The atmosphere became tense. Very tense. Yet Amoka wasn't afraid. In fact, she seemed to enjoy it. Chioma remained silent. Not because she agreed. But because she was tired. Tired of defending herself. Tired of proving her worth. Tired of pretending the insults didn't hurt. Because they did hurt. More than anyone realized. Then Amoka delivered another blow. The cruelest one yet. She looked directly at Chioma and said, "Let's be honest." The room became silent. Maybe some people are simply not meant for certain families. A shocked gasp escaped one of the relatives. Even Mama Patricia looked horrified. The insult was no longer hidden. It was direct, open, public, humiliating. For a few seconds, nobody spoke. Then Obinna stood up. "Apologize." Amoka smacked. "For what? Apologize now." The room felt frozen. But Amoka refused. Instead, she folded her arms. "No." Obinna's face darkened. Chioma quickly touched his arm. "Please." He turned toward her. She shook her head. Not because Amoka deserved mercy, but because she didn't want a bigger scene. The lunch ended awkwardly. Very awkwardly. Guests left earlier than planned. Nobody knew what to say. Nobody knew how to fix what had happened. Because deep down, everyone understood something. Amoka had crossed a line. A serious line. That evening, Chioma walked home alone. She rejected Obinna's offer to drive her. She needed time. Time to think. Time to breathe. Time to process everything. As she walked through the quiet streets, memories flooded her mind. The first day Obinna returned. Their first conversation. Their first confession of love. The dreams they shared. The future they planned. Everything. And yet, despite all those beautiful memories, one painful reality remained. His family was becoming a battlefield. And she was the target. When she finally reached home, Mama Grace immediately noticed her swollen eyes. "My daughter." Chioma couldn't hold it anymore. She burst into tears. The tears came harder than before. Months of pain. Months of frustration. Months of humiliation. All pouring out at once. Mama Grace simply held her. And allowed her to cry. Later that night, after she had calmed down, her mother spoke softly. "Chioma." "Yes, Mama." "Are you happy?" The question surprised her. Very few people had asked that. Everyone asked whether she loved Obinna. Nobody asked whether she was happy. Chioma hesitated. Then tears returned. Because she didn't know the answer anymore. Across town, Obinna sat alone in his apartment. He couldn't stop thinking about what happened. He felt angry. Angry at Amoka. Angry at the rumors. Angry at himself. Most of all, angry that Chioma was suffering because of people connected to him. He picked up his phone several times. Trying to call her. Trying to apologize. Trying to say something. Anything. But no words felt adequate. The following morning brought shocking news. Chioma closed her shop. Packed a few bags. And informed her mother that she wanted to spend some time with relatives in another town. Mama Grace understood immediately. She wasn't running away from life. She was running away from pain. When Obinna heard the news, panic gripped him. Immediately, he drove to Chioma's house. But he arrived too late. The vehicle carrying Chioma had already left. As it disappeared down the road, Obinna stood there helplessly. Watching. Regretting. Hurting. For the first time, he realized how much damage had been done. And for the first time, he felt something terrifying. He might actually lose her. Meanwhile, Amoka heard the news and smiled. Chioma was gone. The relationship was collapsing. Everything was going according to plan. Or so she thought. Because that same afternoon, someone unexpected arrived in town. A middle-aged man carrying documents. Documents connected to a secret from Amoka's past. A secret she had hidden for years. A secret involving lies, betrayal, and a child nobody in the Okeke family knew existed. And before long, that secret would explode, changing everything.